I'm going to be doing part 5 of What If I Was in Naruto. We left off after the fourth Great Shinobi War, and yeah, Naruto, Sasuke, and Krishna are all the most powerful shinobi in the universe. Sasuke with his perfect Susanoo Rinnegan combo, Naruto with his Sage of Six Pass mode, and Christian with his Ten-Tail Six Pass mode. With his Sage of Six Pass mode. He is the reincarnation of the Sage of Six Pass. So then, after that, he begins to become the god of the shinobi. He is no longer in the Leaf Village. He is above there, waiting and seeking peace. Whenever a threat comes, he immediately steps up and blasts them and destroys whoever is disturbing the peace. 7 years later, and Naruto becomes Hokage. Christian is not there yet. He's like, wait, where is he? I thought he'd come to my Hokage inauguration. And Naruto doesn't get knocked out by Himawari or Boruto. So he goes, why isn't he here? And then he hears, and then a white beam comes down behind the Hokage tower, and everyone's on guard. They're like, what the heck is that? And then he's like, yo. And they're like, oh, it's him. And everyone is shocked that the god of shinobi is here. He says, well, happy inauguration, Naruto. I want to have one last fight and see if you're truly called the Hokage. And Naruto goes, sure. So he goes Six Pass Sage mode. Christian goes God of all Six Pass. He basically goes what Madara has, Ten-Tail Sage mode. And he goes, this is done. I'm ready. So then they start fighting, and Naruto, and these two are tied equally. Naruto has more base power, and Christian has more technical skill with the form power. So they're basically even in clashing fist. In the final clash, and everyone's cheering on each side. But then they all come together and say, let's go for both of them. And then the final blast is between a Sage of the Six Pass Blaster. And then a final Chidori Slam clash with the Rasengan, and they say, good job. And then they shake each other's hands. But then Christian feels a rumble in his mind. He goes, what the? And then he sees the Ten-Tail splitting apart, and it shows all 9 Biju back. And he goes, Kurama, Shukaku, Maratabi, Isobu, Son Goku, Kokuo, Saiken, Chome, Gyuki. They're all back, and he reverts to Six Pass Sage mode, just like Naruto's. And he says, I guess the Ten-Tails was actually removed. And then he says, I knew that would work one day. So finally, the Tail Beasts are separated. Now moving on to the beginning of the Boruto series. Boruto is of course doing his cheeky pranks, and Boruto finally enters the academy. Everything happens normal in the Boruto Academy, except Christian decides to become a sensei there, decides to become a teacher, and guide everyone in the way of the shinobi. So when getting squads are there, Konohamaru is not going to be the leader. It's Christian. It's Sarada, Mitsuki, and all that crap. Christian suspects that this is Orochimaru's kid. But then everyone's like, how is that Orochimaru's kid? I thought Orochimaru was dead. Remember, Orochimaru's still alive, just didn't participate in the war. He was too damaged. He created an offspring, a child, and made him go to the academy. So yeah, Orochimaru. So their sensei is one of the strongest shinobi in the universe. So he says it's time for the bell test, and he says 3, 2, 1, and then he hears a yell. He says ah, and then he goes Boruto, and then he says, and when Boruto tries to wing gale palm him, he catches the palm and throws him back and says, Boruto, I didn't say go. And then he says, go. So after that, everyone goes to hide, even Boruto. Boruto's not as dumb as Naruto. First things first, they all try and combat him. Sarada tries to come in with one quick, swift Sharingan punch. It's caught. Mitsuki tries to go for a kick. It's caught. Boruto goes and he says, Kurama! And then one more arm blocks it, and then he hits them all together and says, alright guys, you guys have shown some teamwork. Let's see some more of it. And then he uses a chakra burst to blast them all away. Naruto senses his chakra and says, he's probably doing he says, what are you doing? He says, just doing a bell test, just like Kakashi did for us. And he says, oh yeah, you did. That was pretty fun. So, they're just doing a bell test, and yeah. And after that, he activates 6 Pass Sage mode to block all hits. And people are like, that's way too hard. And Boruto and Sarada and Mitsuki all say, that's not fair, you're using your full power. And he says, this is like 1% of my power. And they say, what? He says, fine, I won't use it. So Sarada comes at him with a chakra punch. It's caught, but he's pushed a tiny bit back, and he says, nope. And then he spins his arm around and beats her up. And Boruto jumps up with it. A Shadow Clone shoots Boruto up, and then he shoots down Sarada with a Wind Gale Palm. And then she comes and he says, nice try. Dodge it, and then Wind Gale Palms. Says, my wind is better than yours. And then he creates one last Wind Gale Palm to blast them all forward. And Kakashi's just hiding and says, wow, he's learned. So they all jump at him again, and he says, alright. And then he releases a little bit of chakra, not the Nine Tails, just chakra. Blasts them all back, and he says, you pass. And then they all go, what? He's like, you guys showed excellent teamwork. And he says, that's what my master taught me. Isn't that right, Kakashi? And Kakashi is just like, He's like, how did you sense me? And I'm like, I'm a damn god of the shinobi. You expect me not to sense you? And he goes, oh yeah. Oh yeah, Kakashi still has a Sharingan, just saying. He says, alright guys, if you guys saw in the Hokage inauguration, you saw that fight. So next we see he says, you guys will be training with me for a while. And he says, alright guys, we're going to be doing some new training lessons. Everyone, what is your element? We are going to test your elements. Sarada, use your fire style and lightning style. Boruto, wind style, lightning style, use it. Mitsuki, lightning style and wind style. He says, okay. And they all use their wind style for days against his shadow clones. And giving them healing, and he's healing them with chakra. Getting them stronger every time they use it. And finally, they're really, really strong. After a couple of months of training, it's the Chunin exams. The written exam is pretty much a wash. They easily complete the Chunin exams, because he taught, as being the god of shinobi, he teaches them all about it. He teaches them all about the shinobi world. So they easily pass. Every single time they completed a training session, he'd tell them all about the shinobi world. It says, this happened in this time. And after that, we see the Chunin exams, the flag part, because I saw the movie. So when Boruto is running at them, when the guys are running at Boruto and Sarada and Mitsuki have all learned how to burst their chakra. So they all burst their chakra at them, setting those guys flying, and Sarada activates her 2 Tomo, and also Christian has no Yogan in Boruto, and he says, let's try and master that. He says, and then he disappears from Boruto, and Boruto remembers him disappearing from his vision and punching him in the face, saying, if you want to activate that Sharingan, you're going to have to see where I come. So after a couple of months of training, Boruto does at least, can go one at will, he can use his Sharingan. So, when those guys disappear from Boruto's vision, he looks to the right and goes, pathetic, and then knocks one out. Sarada grabs the flag and they pass. And everyone's like, what? And then the Mitsuki goes, and it just disperses everything. Shinki into the wall, knocking him out. And Naruto's like, what did you teach them? Oh yeah, and actually, I'll pass around. And it's an all-out match. Sarada going Sharingan, Boruto going Jogan. Well, Christian Sensei did teach me this. He goes on board. He one blasts Sarada back, and the other one goes and tackles Mitsuki. And they're all going at him. In a distant place, we see all the tail. We see Yuki and B getting attacked, and Otsutsuki is almost there. So when the final match ends, it ends with Boruto with a Wind Gale Palm Blast to Sarada, and Mitsuki with a lightning stream to the floor, cause Christian died. And then Boruto jumping back up, Wind Gale Palming them, and then yeeting Sarada up to down to the ground, and then kicking Mitsuki with an old-fashioned dab kick, knocking them both out. And the proctor says, Boruto Uzumaki has won. And Naruto was shocked of how good he is. And Naruto just wants to check if anyone was cheating. She says, Hinata, use your Byakugan. We need to see it. And she says, nope, Naruto, there's nothing on it. Yeah, try Hinata impression. And she says, okay, Hinata, thank you. Naruto still does hook up with Hinata. So we see the next part. Momoshiki comes down, and Christian immediately takes off his garp, takes off his Jonin outfit, and goes into his Sage of Six Paths clothes. And immediately Momoshiki looks at him, and he's in fear of the two gods. Actually, three gods, cause Sasuke. And then he's like, and then he says, Kinshiki, kill them. Kill everyone. And Kinshiki goes full power into, but then immediately his punch is blocked by Naruto. Naruto goes 6 past Sage 1 and says, I don't think so. He blocks his punch and then knees him in the stomach and says, goodbye, Rasengan! And blasts him right into Momoshiki. Momoshiki absorbs Kinshiki, eats him, knocks out Naruto, and takes him to the dimension, of course. And everyone thinks that Naruto just died. Christian and Sasuke do say that he did not die. He was taken to another dimension. Sasuke takes him to a new dimension, and Naruto is just there getting his 9 tails absorbed. Kurama can feel this, and he is angry. Kurama's like, no, we will not stand for this. So Kurama immediately gets them to the dimension with Sasuke too. And Kurama is immediately like, you better get him. So then he goes right after him, punching Momoshiki down, hitting the floor, and he says, hey Kurama, Maratabi, Shukaku, all tail beast. Does anybody want to do that again? They say, yup, because they mastered it, so they can revert back anytime. He goes, then let's go! Ah! And then he goes, Madara 6 pass. Says, you're done, Momoshiki, and pulls out his staff and goes and starts bopping Momoshiki. Naruto doesn't have to do crap, but once he summons the white Kurama, Sasuke infuses it with Susanoo, and it becomes a red one when Naruto joins in. It becomes red. And they bop Momoshiki's rock monkey, and then they finish him off with a Rasengan and Chidori combo, a Rasen Chidori combo. So they kill him, and that's it. I'm not going to go over anything else. This is the end of the What If. Hope you liked it. If you did, I'm kidding. I'm going to be making more of this, but I'm going to be making my own timeline. But it's not in this part. I'll see you guys tomorrow.